So we finally conclude Asta's team round in this tournament and already beginning the next one that we wanted to see so far from this fight. And with this one, I've got to say and all that, there was a pretty good amount of teamwork in this one. Also as well, I think a lot of Asta's opponents got pretty shit on for like the most part of the fight. Like I think definitely Magna and especially like Mimosa's brother just got completely destroyed in throughout this entire competition, because what unfortunately happened to them all that is throughout all of this and all that, they got wrecked entirely. And mainly throughout the entirety of this chapter was Asta like being told like, hey, don't worry about like any other character, don't worry about Magna, don't worry about anything, you just take care of fucking the brother again, because that's just gotta happen. And immediately it was like, you know, you gotta do this, and Asta full well ignores like Magna's swing that goes straight through the crystal, and he just like, I've already got like countermeasures already placed up for this and all that. It's because I've got a magic circle on the entire crystal to reflect Magna's fireball back at him. However, he kind of misunderstood the entire reflect. He's like, really, you're gonna like do a cheap imitation of this blast? And turns out that's not exactly how like we get to see Zora's like ability works. It's trap magic and it's able to reflect it, but it is able to reflect every single part of this property, because we are able to see it actually like turn invisible like Magna's own swing. So I do kind of feel bad about that, as like Magna got shitted on like immediately. I hoped it was more like focusing on them instead of like Asta like trying to take on the cherry blossom fucker. Like I thought it was like, oh, let's have them like finally conclude like the rest of like their match and everything, and it's like, no, he got completely destroyed by his own magic. And like there was a great bit that Zora did where it's like, you screamed and said way too much about your magic like a Bleach character, which obviously you didn't say that part, but it definitely reminded me when like it was the biggest problem I ever had, is like when a Bleach character screams out what their technique does and how it works and what it's weak. Like they practically did everything. It's like, no, I'm going to tell you how it works, what's the concept, and you know, basically you can work out the weakness by then. It's like, that's what happens. Or I was like, I understand what your ability works and I'm able to fucking use it around you, because you're too busy focusing on your own attack that if it comes back at you, you're not going to notice that it has the same properties at all. Like, that's exactly what, like, that was the entire concept of the match. No one, like, from that team noticed or tried to keep their eyes, their own egos, and it was like, you could not use any of your magic, and that's where your weakness came from. Like, immediately, where else, like, Mimosa's brother got destroyed by like natural traps and his clear arrogance, and like immediately he was too focused on like screaming at Asta and like calling him a commoner and just like getting all riled up because of this, and he didn't even notice that there was a trap in the mid-air, which you learned from Zora. Like Zora could, like, his ability, like, I'm kind of glad that, like, with the trap magic, like, it isn't just, like, oh, I can just make a trap on the ground and, it, like, you're working on a concept. He can put it on objects, he can put it in the mid-air, like, in the ground. Like, he has a lot of ways of, like, working around it, so I'm kind of glad, because when you first hear trap magic, it's like, oh, is that it? Like, you don't really, like, expect too much. But, like, honestly, like, I kind of, like, I'm getting a lot more attached to his magic, because it's goddamn, like, interesting when you look at a lot of it. And this gives Asta the time to clearly just knock him out, not once, but twice. Like, he's like, even like Laura said, that's a complete humiliation after this point. And then Soul finally gets in, and she was already fucked from the start, because Mimosa already put, like, one of her control vines on her, and it was like, I can completely control and dominate this, like, character. However, and all that, like, you know, like, what the problem is and all that is, like, victory should be simple, but it takes time and all that for the sprouts to like, grow. So I'm gonna need you, like, to keep fighting as long as you, like, you don't know anything about this and don't give her, like, away that anything's gonna be, like, you know, going on. And this completely, like, just gives away Soul with her, like, magic, as, like, the crystal was in her, like, golem the entire time. And it's like, yeah. And that's how they win the match. Asta goes in, they've completely, all of them being incapacitated and blindsided. I'm surprised, like if anything, it seems like Soul really relies a lot on that golem. Like, from what we've seen, like, even as well when we saw, like, the brother trying to train it, like, I feel like she really needs to do a lot more stuff on her own, or, like, if she can utilize other little ones. Like, she's just used it as one giant unit and not try to, like, do anything good with it. Like, you saw as well, like, it only did one thing, and that was, like, incapacitate, like, Mimosa, but that match was already over by the time she put the Sprout, it was all up to Zora and Asta just to keep the crystal safe at that point, and there was already going to be a 3v2 at that point. So yeah, they were already like in shit's creek with that. Not to mention as well, like, the most like capable fighter in that entire matchup was Magna, and Magna was still going on about his fucking new powers. Like, that was something it's like, yeah, that team matchup, just like the biggest problem there was their coordination and just their clear just arrogance on each other. Like, Soul wasn't the worst case of that. Like, she was more like calm-headed than the rest of them, but still and all that, she didn't consider any strategy, couldn't consider like what some of the opponents can do, and like that was ultimately their downfall for the most part. And the fact that Zora like spent kind of the last part of the chapter just going at each and every one of these characters and all that, and like even when he was like criticizing man, it's like, I don't know if this is a fucking like Yankee thug thing or not and all that, or it's just some common display, but you know, you just sometimes when it comes to it, just shut up and act. You don't need to spell it out. Like, you kind of said it yourself and you ruined it, like, for that reason. And then immediately where it's just like, even with Soul, everything, you like, you know, like, you're unpolished, you need to work on your like attune to your subtleties or like your magic, and just immediately with Mimosa's brother, it's just like, he just went at him and he said, not once but twice we utterly fucking destroyed you, and you didn't learn from the first time whatsoever. Like, it's fucking pathetic. And like, even he's learning through this and all that, and even with like what Mimosa's saying, like, yeah, just because they're commoners and all that doesn't mean like there's like good things about them, or they're like, as he puts, like, you know, as she puts to her, like, you know, beautiful. Like, they, when he saw Magna and like asked the fight, it's like, yeah, that was actually like a beautiful display. Like, not only can it just be nobles, guys, at least it's like he's starting to see his ways and all that after getting this decimated, but from what we've seen of him so far, yeah, it's Cherry Blossom magic, and that's around about it I could say about him. Like, honestly, if we don't see him for like another like 50 chapters, 100 chapters like that, then I honestly will probably forget who the fuck he is, to be fair. Oh, yeah, and all that, we got the next matchup that they're setting up for, like, right at the end of this one, which is E-Team versus G, which we're going to have Finral and Leo versus his own brother. So I'm actually looking forward to that matchup. That's going to be, like, a pretty interesting one. I want to see Leo and Finral team up. I think that's going to be a cool, like, a little workaround and all that from what we're going to be seeing, because we was able to see a tiny bit of their matchup last time, and against his brother, who has pretty strong ass abilities and all that on that team. I think this is going to be an interesting one to work out at the least and all that, and I hope this one doesn't go on too long and all that for the matchup and all that. I think like 1 or 2 chapters of this will be pretty good and all that. And then after that, we should be getting into like the semi-finals and also as well the finals as well after wrapping these up. So I'm looking forward to seeing like if we're going to get that. Honestly, and all that, from what we know so far and all that, I think that would be cool if like Yuno and Asta's going to go off about that. But I think if anything, for like the semi-finals, I think we're going to maybe probably see and all that Asta versus Luck, unless like the tournament is interrupted after this fight, because they were saying like trouble lurks around, and obviously they've got a rivalry between the two. So if whether they're referring to that or something's going to interrupt this tournament, because so far, like a lot of the times when you see tournaments in a lot of anime and mangas and all that, it's normally around about the end of like part and all that. When you get to semi-finals and no finals, that's when it starts like shit. It just comes out and it's like, whoa, time to delay the tournament. Even though we was now about to set up this really cool fight with someone. So whether or not we're going to get that, overall this was a decent chapter and all that. Finally see a like over and all that between Asta's matchup. And yeah, if anything, I'll take out of this chapter, I was a lot more happy with like Zora's like trap abilities for the most part. I think that works a lot better now. Like, I think if anything and all that, it helps that he has a lot of mobility with his traps, which is weird considering that you have to place them around everywhere. But I like you can place them mid-air. There's also concepts of reflecting the magic back. It isn't just like, oh, here's an explosion and there you go, you just fall into a pit hole. Overall, a pretty solid chapter this week and all that for Clover. So I'm looking forward, and we're getting ever so closer as well for the anime to come out and all that. So I'm pretty goddamn excited for that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. That's all from me. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you guys though next time.